In the quiet coastal town of Spooky Harbour, where the chilly winds whispered through the darkened streets and the moon cast eerie shadows on the snow-covered ground, a chilling tale unfolded during the most festive time of the year. The townspeople gathered at the annual Christmas Eve festival, their faces masked by the glow of twinkling lights, and laughter echoed through the frosty air. The Christmas tree stood tall in the town square, adorned with ornaments that sparkled like the eyes of curious onlookers. However, beneath the veneer of holiday cheer, a sinister presence lingered, unknown to the revellers. A palpable unease settled over Spooky Harbour like a thick fog, and the locals couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. The story began with a peculiar family who had recently moved to Spooky Harbour. The Thompsons, a seemingly normal couple with 2 young children, took residence in an old Victorian house on the outskirts of town. The locals whispered about the family, claiming they had an eerie air about them. Mrs. Thompson, a woman with raven black hair and piercing blue eyes, seldom ventured outside, while Mr. Thompson was rarely seen at all. Rumours spread like wildfire through the tight-knit community, speculating on the family's mysterious past and the reason for their sudden arrival. Some said they were hiding from something, while others whispered that they were the cause of the strange occurrences plaguing the town. As Christmas Eve approached, the Thompsons kept to themselves, their house shrouded in darkness while the rest of Spooky Harbour glowed with festive lights. Children playing in the snow outside the Thompsons' home claimed to hear strange noises emanating from within, whispers carried by the icy wind that sent shivers down their spines. The night before Christmas, a dense fog settled over Spooky Harbour, cloaking the town in an eerie silence. The Christmas Eve festival had ended, and the townspeople retreated to their homes, eager to celebrate the holiday with their families. Amelia, a curious teenager with a penchant for unravelling mysteries, couldn't resist the allure of the Thompsons' house. As the clock struck midnight, she slipped out of her home, bundled up against the biting cold, and ventured into the fog-shrouded streets. The Victorian house loomed in the distance, its silhouette outlined by the faint glow of the moon. Amelia approached cautiously, her heart pounding in her chest. She crept around the side of the house, drawn to a dim light flickering through the curtains of a basement window. Unable to resist her curiosity, Amelia peered inside. The basement was adorned with flickering candles, casting an eerie glow on the walls. In the centre of the room, a makeshift altar held peculiar objects, strange symbols etched in blood, ancient books bound in leather, and a dagger gleaming in the candlelight. As Amelia's eyes widened in terror, she saw the Thompsons, dressed in dark robes, chanting in a language unknown to her. At the centre of the ritual, a life-size doll stood, its eyes seemingly alive with malevolence. Amelia stumbled backward, her breath catching in her throat. The floor creaked beneath her, and the Thompsons' head snapped in her direction. Fear surged through her as Mrs. Thompson locked eyes with her from the other side of the window. Without a moment's hesitation, Amelia sprinted away from the house, the echoes of ominous chanting fading behind her. As she raced through the fog-covered streets, Amelia knew she had to warn the town about the sinister activities transpiring in the Thompsons' basement. She reached the town square, gasping for breath, and banged on the doors of the nearest houses, desperate to rouse the townspeople from their peaceful slumber. The residents of Spooky Harbour gathered in the square, their faces etched with concern as Amelia recounted her terrifying discovery. Whispers of fear and disbelief rippled through the crowd as they grappled with the idea that darkness lurked within their seemingly idyllic town. Determined to confront the Thompsons and put an end to the malevolent forces threatening their community, a group of brave townspeople marched toward the Victorian house. The fog clung to the cobblestone streets as they approached, the air thick with tension. The group reached the Thompsons' doorstep, their breath visible in the frigid air. With trepidation, they pushed open the front door, revealing a staircase that led down into the darkness of the basement. As they descended, the chanting grew louder, echoing through the narrow passageways. In the flickering candlelight, they found the Thompsons still engrossed in their ritual. The townspeople confronted them, demanding answers. Mr. Thompson, his eyes vacant and devoid of humanity, rose from the altar, a sinister smile playing on his lips. "Spooky Harbour was the perfect setting for our dark festivities," he hissed, revealing a mouth stained with blood. "Tonight, We summon a malevolent spirit that will bring chaos and despair to this town." The townspeople recoiled in horror, realizing the gravity of the situation. A struggle ensued, and in the chaos, the dagger from the altar found its way into Amelia's hands. With a surge of adrenaline, she thrust the dagger into the heart of the life-size doll, severing the connection between the Thompsons and the malevolent entity they sought to unleash. As the doll crumbled to the floor, a chilling wind swept through the basement, extinguishing the candles and silencing the ominous chanting. The Thompsons collapsed, their bodies lifeless and devoid of the dark energy that had consumed them. The townspeople, shaken but victorious, emerged from the basement into the cold night air. The fog began to lift, revealing the moonlit streets of Spooky Harbour. The once ominous Victorian house stood quiet and still, its secrets exposed. In the aftermath, the townspeople worked together to cleanse their community of the dark residue left behind by the Thompsons' malevolent rituals. Spooky Harbour slowly returned to its peaceful facade, but the memory of that fateful Christmas Eve lingered in the collective consciousness of the town. As the years passed, the tale of the Thompsons became a cautionary legend in Spooky Harbour, a reminder that even in the most charming towns, darkness could take root. And so, every Christmas Eve, the residents of Spooky Harbour gathered in the town square to share stories of the night they confronted the malevolent forces that threatened to shatter the silent night with unspeakable horror.